Alrighty, guys, welcome back. Earlier, we were discussing the expected expansion of the NCAA tournament, and now we're going to be discussing the Big Ten and the SEC, who are not too keen on the idea of the CFP buys for the SEC and Big Ten. Who saw this coming?
Oh,
I did.
I'm doing something here. I'm just gonna let people in on something doing what I would let. I haven't even told you, Faith, what I'm doing. So I was just kind of curious. I have never done this, so I went through while we were on break, and I pulled our show up while it's live, while the live feed is going on. So I see you, and now I see you. So you're on both screens. You're up. And the reason why I did this is because so many times I have to go back and watch the show to see the pictures and the graphics that you will put up sometime.
Oh, okay.
And so I'm like, you know what? I want to see if I can pull this off today. So that's all. I just thought I'd share. Now,
Yeah.
let's talk about more grumpy old men
Being upset.
pissed off about change.
Yeah. Okay. So the Big 12 and the ACC coaches are not too keen on the idea of the CFP buys for the SEC and Big Ten. The college football playoff hasn't unveiled its first 12-team field yet, but discussions on a 14-team competition beginning in 2026 are already raising eyebrows among the Big 12 and ACC coaches. In the 12-team playoff structure, the 5 highest-ranked conferences champions are guaranteed a spot in the bracket, and the 4 highest-ranked conference winners will earn a first-round bye. But sources told ESPN that one 14-team model that is being considered includes provisions for the SEC and Big Ten to get 3 automatic qualifiers each, and the only 2 buys for their conference champions. Automatic first-round buys for the Big Ten and SEC is like the NFL saying the Cowboys get a first-round bye since they have more fans than the Bengals. TCU coach Sonny Dykes told ESPN. How preposterous is that? Dykes' 2022 Horned Frogs, the Big 12 runner-up, beat Big 10 champion Michigan in a CFP semifinal at the Fiesta Bowl. Under this proposal, Michigan would have a bye as the league's champion. Coaches don't have the power to change the format. That lies with their respective commissioners and ultimately the presidents and chancellors of the CFP board. Their feedback, though, is a part of the process along with that of athletic directors and university presidents. Sources have cautioned that nothing is done yet, but several coaches told ESPN that they aren't fans of this new proposal.
Okay. I agree with them.
I agree with them as well.
All right. Then, good night, everybody.
Move on.
Tip the band. All right. Okay. They're right.
Absolutely.
What the Big Ten and the SEC wants to do is wrong.
I agree.
What the Big Ten and the SEC wants to do is bad for college football in general.
Yeah. It's not fair.
Now,
Not a fair playing field, in my opinion.
I'm going to get off my soapbox right there. Okay. That's where I'm going to stop and get off, because everything he said is correct. And I'm going to tell you this. This is strictly speculation, everyone. So don't get upset with me. And Faith, do not jump through the screen and choke me. But I believe if Michigan would have got a first-round bye and would not have had to play TCU, they would have beat Georgia in the national championship game. And Georgia would not be. I thought Michigan was the team that could beat them. Ooh, it's like. And
you told me not to jump through the screens.
But Michigan did not have an automatic bye. And guess what? They didn't deserve an automatic bye whatsoever. They didn't deserve an automatic bye. They rolled up into TCU thinking we shouldn't even have to play TCU. They're beneath us, all this stuff. They took them for granted and they got their butts whooped. And so they didn't deserve to go to the national championship because they didn't earn it on the field. And that's a Michigan fan saying that. They didn't deserve it. Same with these buys. Just because you have SEC on your shirt or Big Ten on your shirt does not give you the right to have an automatic buy. It's bad for college sports. It is just flat out bad. It's greedy what they're doing by saying, hey, we want 3 of this and 3 of this. But where I'm saying I'm going to get off my soapbox is because of the fact that I have no choice. That 3, the model where the SEC is going to get 3 and the Big Ten is going to get 3, that's happening. I understand that. So I'm off my soapbox on why teams, this whole 3 and 3. But this whole now they're like they said, the most popular teams or the team with the biggest brand actually gets to get a bye is not fair because, hey, here's, this is what they should do. Okay, we'll sign this agreement, but you have to sign if any of our schools get to the point that we have more viewerships than you do, we're the bigger brand, hence the ACC back when Miami and Florida State was kicking everybody's butt in the 90s. What happens if Florida State and so guess what? Hey, SEC, sorry, you no longer get that bye. You no longer get 3 teams. Now the ACC is going to get 3 teams. Make it so that everyone can shift. The whole point I'm getting at is it's wrong that they're using their ability to put themselves in a better situation. That's what a commissioner of a university or a conference is supposed to do, is to look out for their conference and get the best deal possible. But I feel like these guys are going too far. They're going too far. They're asking for too much. It's bad enough now, we get 3 teams, everybody else gets 1 team or no teams, or these other 2 conferences, they get 2, but us Big Ten and SEC, we get 3. That's already favoritism there. But now you're going to be like, nope, we don't even have to play in the first round. Do you understand how big of an advantage that is? When you look at the fact that football is a physical sport, it sometimes takes a week to 2 weeks to recover from a game. I mean, from one game, just the pain and the sore muscles and the aches, pains, and bruises. Now, not to mention that, hey, injuries happen a lot in college football. But hey, the SEC and the Big Ten champ, they get to wait an extra 2-3 weeks before they play to make sure, hey, when Georgia steps on the field, they're as healthy as can be. But Utah, who happened to be in the Pac-12, they had to win their Pac-12 championship. They had a couple players get injured. Then they had to go in and they had to play a first-round game, and they got a couple more players injured. And there's good old fresh Georgia or Alabama or Ohio State or Michigan. It's just wrong.
I think this is so stupid. I think this is so stupid. To me, it seems like the SEC and the Big Ten are trying to monopolize college football. And I think it's so stupid and so unfair.
This thing has swayed time after time. Once upon a time, there was a point in the 90s where the Pac-12 was the dominant conference and USC was killing people. Then there was a time where Miami and Florida State were at the top of college football in the 80s and the 90s. There was a point where the Big Ten was dominating. There's a point just recently where Alabama and the SEC were the dominant one. And it changes from time to time. And what they're trying to do is they're trying to cook the books because it's never gonna stay that way. Eventually, the Big 12 is gonna rise again, or the ACC is gonna rise again. And so I feel like they're trying to cook the books to make it so these guys can never rise up again. That is so it's so tipped in their favor that no one will ever be able to do it again.
Let's talk about Notre Dame too. What happens with Notre Dame?
Well, Notre Dame always gets their little special treatment. Notre Dame, in this particular case, on the 3-3-2-2-1 approach, the one is Notre Dame. Notre Dame, if Notre Dame's in the top 14, they automatically get a bid. They automatically get 10.
This is so stupid. This is so stupid.
Yes. Now, let's shift this around. Let's look at Florida State last year. Florida State did everything they're supposed to do. But because they lost their quarterback, nope, you can't play in the college football playoff. Imagine if that was Georgia. You would be heated. And everybody in Athens would be heated.
Yeah.
Or Michigan or whomever. Now, here's another one. You're Georgia, but now let's say it's the ACC. And ACC gets automatic bids. It's going to be Clemson, and it's going to be Florida State, and North Carolina automatically gets in. And Clemson, who already has 2 losses anyway. Georgia's ran the table. Georgia's undefeated, but they got to play week 1 while Clemson rests because they're in a different conference, and they get to be fresh and ready for Georgia, who has to play a tough school. And then they play, and now Georgia loses because Clemson had an unfair advantage by having a bye. Would make you incredibly upset. Yeah. People in Georgia would be livid, but that's what they want. The SEC wants their bye. The Big Ten wants their bye, and they're working together to do this. And right now, these other universities have no leg to stand on because of 2 people. Florida State is the first one who has these lawsuits, and they're trying to break up the SEC, the ACC, weakens the SEC, weakens the Big 12. ESPN, who has these big contracts with the SEC, and Fox and CBS, who has the contract with the Big Ten. These television organizations, these television companies should have nothing to do with, hey, what teams we want in this conference. Hey, we have to make sure we get our investment. So we want the SEC to get this. We want the Big Ten to get this. The television contracts should be completely separate from this. ESPN should not even be considered in this. Nor what it should be, okay, let's do this conference. All the conference champions get in. As I told you, I would have the 8-team. Every conference gets a winner. The top conferences, all 4 top conferences, all get a bye. And then there's 8 at-large bids. 16-team playoff. Everyone gets in, but it's fair. No one wants to talk about what's fair, because even when you look at any of the models, it's never fair because it doesn't represent all the Division I schools. No one really wants it to be fair because the Group of 5, they have their own conferences and they play their own seasons. Why don't they get an automatic bid? No one wants to make it fair. When you look at, when the last segment we're talking about college basketball adding more teams, the more teams you get, the more people, other schools have opportunities to win. At least it becomes a little bit more fair. Instead of everyone being selfish and looking out for their own interests, they should look at what's the best thing for college football, what's the best thing for college basketball. Because I think if people really looked at it, they would see this model is bad all the way around.
Yep. Ooh, mercy. Oh, the joys of the reality TV show of college athletics.
Yep, you are
They
100%
really need
right.
to. Do you know how much money I would pay to watch like an actual like real reality TV show with all of this going down? And I would
It
watch
doesn't even
it.
seem real.
No.
Hey, the Conference of Champion, the conference that's been around for 100 years and have some of the biggest brands of all, hey, they're going to break up because one wants to be on TV more. You know, we're going to leave one of our partners that's been with us for, 50, 60 years. We're going to leave two of them behind. It's like leaving two of your kids behind. They're defending for themselves. We're all going to go our own way. Florida State, who's, been a part of this whole thing since the beginning, they're like, no, we don't want to be with you anymore. We want to go down south to the SEC, or we want to go up north to the Big Ten. It's crazy what is going on here, and it's not good. So now we've gotten rid of all the messiness. Give me some of that candy, some of that easy stuff, that oddity stuff.
That good stuff.
Some of the good.
All right, guys. Well, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to discuss our oddities of the day, so make sure you stick around.